Providence Chapel, a small Methodist chapel near Throwleigh on the northern flanks of Dartmoor, is now the home to a new exhibition of photographs by Chapman that gives us a vivid picture of what life is like on Dartmoor Farms. Dartmoor is known around the world for its spectacular wildness and natural beauty, but safeguarding the special character of its landscapes depends so much on the skill and dedication of today's farmers, families who have grazed their sheep and cattle on the moor for generations.
I'm often asked which are my favourite pictures, and this is certainly one of them. This is Ma Shillabeer with a drowned mouse at Belliver. She and her husband farmed at Belliver. And I used to visit this farm many times, and she'd always give me a wonderful thunder and lightning cream tea. And after she died, I was asked would I talk at her funeral. And in fact, what I did was I made a great big print of this. And after I'd spoken about her, I unrolled the print and I walked down the aisle and everybody burst out laughing. So for me, that was wonderful. And this is another great favourite of mine from the late 1970s. This is Owen and Joe and their pig at Batworthy Farm near Chagford. It really represents the end of an era, and I spent a lot of time on this farm over, I'll say, a span of about 10 years photographing them. Another taken in 2004 is a farmer with his white-faced ram at Widdicombe Fair. And I'm often asked, how did you see that? And I suppose this is the unconscious skill of a photographer. But what I love about that picture is that it's captured his pride in his livestock. He's at a fair, he's going to show his best animals and hopefully win a prize. I've had to cover some upsetting subjects in my time, BSE and the foot and mouth crisis. But what I love about these pictures, looking back at them over 50 years, is the humour that comes through, something I really liked about the Dartmoor people. And this one always makes me laugh. I laugh about it for two reasons. One is that the ewe, having been shorn, has knocked Derek for a 6. But also the fact that in those early days, for some reason, they always used to shear their sheep on either an Axminster or a Wilton carpet. You don't see that today, but certainly many years ago, that was the norm. Why did you want to shear a sheep on a woolen carpet? Well, I suppose it made the ewe or the ram feel at home. And photographers are warned, never work with children or animals. And on this occasion, Brian Mortimer had said if I'd like to do his portrait, I could do it down at the field at Chagford Bridge. And on the morning that I went there, it started to pour with rain, and his collie was having none of it, kept on licking his face and would never look at the camera. And this particular instant has just caught the moment when Brian had said to him, "Look at the bloody camera." And when I looked at the pictures that I'd taken, that was the funniest, and it's become a very popular picture. And this is another at Batworthy Farm near Chagford. Joe White had rung me up and said, would I come down and photograph what he called cow time, where he brought the calves into the yard to suckle on their mother. I'm not really sure why he was keeping them separate. But on this particular day, he'd lost a South Devon calf, and his niece's husband had brought in this little Frisian calf to replace it. And when I got there, Joe was all kind of upset, saying, oh, the picture's not going to work because it's got the wrong calf in there. Anyway, we went ahead. And James Ravilious and I had this thing where we would say every now and again the photographer gets a gift from God, and this was certainly one for me, because I started to take the pictures and it wasn't terribly exciting, but suddenly under a 5-bar gate on this side of the picture I saw this stag and his 2 hens dip under the gate, and they literally walked across the stage. And that was the moment that made the picture. And in fact, if you put your hand over there, it's nowhere near as strong a photograph without the cockerel and his 2 ladies. But for me, what was really important about this picture is that I was thrilled to bits with it. I took it down to the farm, and Joe wasn't there. And I said to Owen, well, this is a picture for you both. And Owen, he was quite a tough man, and he cried. And he said, that is the best photograph I've ever seen. That meant a huge amount to me, and in fact, very sadly, Owen a year later died. So to have that memory of Owen responding to one of my photographs in that way meant a huge amount to me.
In 2022, Providence Chapel launched a series of open days that have welcomed thousands of visitors to step inside this 180-year-old building and see Chris Chapman's iconic photographs. Chris lives close by the chapel and has been capturing the lives of local farmers and their families since 1972. Rooted in the local Dartmoor community, he has witnessed firsthand the highs and also the lows that Dartmoor farmers face day in and day out in all weathers.
The photograph that I'm looking at here is of a lady by the name of Mary Sper, who became Mary Wedlake. The photograph taken in the late 1970s. She married a gentleman called Phil Wedlake, who features in this exhibition as well. This was the first photograph that I ever saw of Chris Chapman's. As I looked at it and took in the simplicity of the photograph. Her smile, she's holding a cigarette, a half pint of beer. She was married at this chapel and then had a reception at the village hall. And it sort of ties in nicely with the fact that this chapel was built by local people, sustained by local people. In 2016, the chapel was threatened with closure. A meeting took place and the members decided that they would try something different. And thanks to our new open days and the popularity of Chris Chapman's Dartmoor photographs, we have breathed fresh life into Providence Chapel. And we were delighted to be invited to show Chris's photographs in the wonderful setting of Exeter Cathedral.
Such has been the success of the exhibition that in November 2023, the National Churches Trust presented Providence Chapel with 2 National Church Awards. A new exhibition of photographs by Chris Chapman give us real insight into life on Dartmoor's farms and the challenges that farmers face every day. Thanks to their dedication, future generations will be able to appreciate Dartmoor both as a national park and also as a living, working landscape for years to come.